Welcome, 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 and happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to the February 7th edition of Systems Lab Live. We are here. We are here for a brand new month, a brand new theme. And how is everybody doing today? I'd love to hear in the comments, number one, where you are from, what you are working on. So, where are you tuning in from? So, as we continue to put those in the comments, come on and settle in. We are live streaming from YouTube, LinkedIn Live, and Instagram Live. And so, welcome once again to Systems Lab Live. This is a weekly live stream where we tackle everyday projects, leading teams, managing projects, and developing processes. And so, I'm excited that you all are here. Because we are going to be diving into a brand new theme over the next couple of months. So buckle up. This is going to be a really great ride. But as we begin, and I'm going to bring up a couple of notes. I want you guys to also be able to join. Here we go. We're going to text. Here we go. We are going to text PM Huddle to 626-722-5444. This is where you can get an exclusive text message from me each and every single week. And also, you can also text me any questions that you have about the things that you are working on. That is some of the privileges of just being a part of the text community. And speaking of that, I should go on and send an update to the crew, let them know that we are live. We are live, and we would love to see you. Oh, we are live. Join in on the fun. That's what we'll say. And I will draw that in. Let me go and copy this link. Copy the link, and we're going to send out the message. Okay. And we're going to do shout out to the Superphone crew. They are the best. Okay. And we are back in business, and we are joined. All right. Here we are. The Instagram fam is here. Santana and Juan. Great to see you all. Great to see you all. So, as I have alluded to on the social media pages, we're talking about building from scratch. And so we're going to get into, what the goal of today's live stream is. What we're really talking about is we're really talking about going into an introspective journey about what it means to create impactful programs, projects, and initiatives from the ground up. We're going to be diving into the essentials of project planning, program building, along with examining current trends and also live case studies of what is actually going on in the whole stratosphere of project management in different industries. And so the reference points question that we will often examine is, what does it take? What does it take to build a project, a program, an initiative from scratch? That's one of our reference points questions. And three big takeaways for tonight. Building from scratch takes faith, time, and commitment. Never underestimate the power of good project management, and to be ready to innovate. Be ready to innovate. Now, the question for you all today is, what are some of the projects that you are working on right now? It could be one, it could be many, but I'm sure most of you all are juggling the many different types of projects. So yes, I definitely want you all in the chat to put that in so that we can just have a good reference point for what you guys are working on tonight. So one of the things too is that I mentioned as well is that this particular theme or movement, if you would to call it that, is that it's multifaceted. So yes, we'll be here every single week, diving into this concept of building from scratch, but also too, the podcast season will be released in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for the first episode. And so we'll be breaking down to episode by episode, what each of the episodes are about. So we'll have the explainer episode. And let me explain to you too, inside the premise of the podcast is the first half of the season is going to be me. It's going to be me for the first 5 or so episodes, and then we're going to have the second half of the season will be some of my favorite people that I have been growing in partnership and relationships, and masterminds and different types of groups and events and things like that. We've been keeping in touch over the past couple of years, and even some recent folks, even some recent people that started to build relationships with. They are going to be telling their own stories. They're going to be telling their own stories from their mouths about what it means to build their projects, their businesses, and even their lives in some cases from scratch. And so there's two ways to look at this. We're going to be looking at things from a very tactical perspective, from a very much like, all right, we're going to be talking about, what about the budget? Like, we're going to be talking about those tactical things, especially those of you that are operators, those of you that are really driving these ships, right? And really driving from start to finish. And then also too, on the other side of the coin is also those that are the visionaries. So these are the people who are building from the ground up. So it is to work in partnership with those particular two of those audiences. But absolutely, the podcast Conversations with Ask Ash focuses mainly on managing projects, leading teams, productivity, and specifically for the project leaders, the operators. And so each season is dedicated to a particular theme in that space. And so Built from Scratch is really going to be coming from that perspective of the person that is that operator, that is that project leader, whether you're in corporate, whether you work for a business. There are different use cases that everyone can pick up some really great knowledge and some really good information. And again, this is also really good that if you are part of a team, everyone can listen to, because they'll be able to see from the different perspectives where they see themselves inside of the story. So this is really something where I'm excited to walk you through that. But like I said, the first 5 or so episodes are just me and you, and we're walking through a case study, and I can't wait to actually break down that case study with you, get some insight from what you all are seeing as well. And so it's good. It's good. It's really, really, really good. And we'll get into also a more of an interactive feature and element with my Miro board. I think you may have seen it already, this Miro board, where the Miro board itself has everything about my podcast process. So essentially, there's 2 parts to this Miro board. The first is really about my journey. So it's kind of like you'll see one piece of the board, and Miro is a mind mapping visual flow charting tool. All project leaders need to use it. Everyone really needs to utilize this tool in such an exciting way. This is just because you can do all the things with it. And so really what I've done is I've set up this board that kind of walks you through sort of my biographical journey thus far in podcasting. And so what that does is that it helps you to understand where I'm coming from. It helps you to understand the journey. And so you can actually place little stickies on different questions, and in you can ask questions and I'll answer them. And then the bottom half of the Miro board talks about my current podcast season, so you can add questions per episode. I'm excited about that. We have to get through a case study tonight, but let me tell you something. Once we get the premiere episode, we will match it with the Miro board. We'll walk you through how to do it. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. If you want to go and look at the actual mural board itself for the Instagram fam, what's going on, Kamish, you can go. Oh no, sorry, you don't have to. I know what I mean. That's good. If you are on Instagram, that's what I'm trying to say. If you are on Instagram, you can go to the solo dot two, or can you? Let me go and see what's on. Sometimes I don't even know what's on that little Instagram bio. Let me do this. Let me just drop in the chat. I'm gonna drop it in two places. Um, the Miro board that I'm trying to talk about. I don't think I put it there. Oh no, I did. Connect with me. Go into the Instagram bio, go to connect with me, and scroll all the way down to listen to the podcast, and then you'll see a button that says contribute to the podcast here. So I'm going to go present. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to go to solo.2, and I'm going to go right here, contribute to the podcast. That is going to take you to the Miro board. You go to the Miro board, and you're going to see all this stuff about the podcast. All of it. So you can go in and start to play around with it. Very easy. You can add comments. It's very intuitive, just in terms of, what you can do and where you start. So I hope that you all visit it, because I think it is pretty cool. All right. Like I said, it is so great to see great people here. What is going on? What's the haps? Jason is in the building. Always good to see you, Jason. Now, we have the first takeaway of what I said was building from scratch takes faith, time, and commitment. So what do we mean by that? And what I've learned is that through following a few of the founder stories, when I see things, whether it's Shark Tank, whether it is looking at some of the stories that I've seen with the people that I've interviewed, they've all taken this journey, this leap of faith. And you're going to be able to see that within the story, within the story. So I want to ask this first question, if you all put in the comments, is, currently, what is it that you are building? What is it in terms of project and initiative, something that you are building from scratch? Where is it in terms of your journey? Where are you in the beginning phase? Are you in the middle? Are you near the end? Where are you in your particular journey? There's this timing factor where a lot of people that see maybe their favorite influencer or person that they have admired, and maybe it seems like it is an overnight type of success, but many of them say, hey, it's been a journey, right? It takes time. And even in some ways, they've also blown stuff up, which is a question that I ask my guests on the podcast. What are you currently blowing up, or what have you blown up? Because oftentimes we just may need to, even though it is something that, could be profitable, something that, has a lot of reach, something that has performed very well. I have understood that even at its height, that people are saying, well, I think it's time for me to shut it down or go into a different direction. And so there's this commitment piece that's often that we're talking about too on the podcast as well, is being committed to the process, commitment through the adversity, commitment through what it is that one is building and going through. So that's that piece of that faith and that time in the commitment, please. We're talking about our belief system and how we believe in ourselves and others, and believing in the idea. We're talking about the time factor, which is the length of time, and then the commitment aspect of it, being committed to the process, no matter what is going to be thrown your way. And so I'm going to take from, there's a couple of notes that I am Also going to highlight here. Oh, I clicked out of something, but I did not mean to click out of it. But in the first episode, like I said, we are going to review this again because there's nothing like good old repetition. Nothing like good old repetition, folks. Okay. So, in my explainer episode, I define this aspect of from scratch, right? And it's really interesting because one of the folks that I interviewed actually said there is no such thing as building from scratch. It is taking what you know, innovating it, and just building upon it, which I think in some respects, she's right. And in other respects, I'm like, yeah, I think there's some aspects of building things that are unprecedented. But from scratch means you do it without making use of anything that has been done before. So that is what from scratch means. You do it without making use of anything that has been done before. So here's this question. In your particular career, in your particular role, and I want to also talk to those that are the project managers out there, the project leaders out there, there are things that you're doing in your life currently that you are building from scratch. And it could be your career. It could be that you inherited a project that hasn't gotten off the ground. And now it's your responsibility to bring it to fruition from start to finish. You also could be in a circumstance where it's you and the startup CEO. And you're like, you know what? We don't even know where the money's coming in. But do you have enough faith to walk with me to build this thing? And so I think that this is where things get interesting, right? Because we're not just talking about the tactical pieces. We're talking about also some of the more introspective pieces. We're talking about emotional intelligence, relational intelligence. And so we're going to see that come up throughout the season. We're also going to have some guests too throughout this particular movement and series that we're a part of, that's really going to dive into some of these nuanced topics that we didn't get to cover during the season. And so it's going to be good. It's going to be real good. But I do want us to hone in on the definition from scratch. You do it without making use of anything that has been done before. To create something from scratch means it's to make it without any ingredients or materials prepared ahead of time. Look at that. Prepared ahead of time. Isn't that quite interesting? Now, it wouldn't be a good old live stream if we didn't hit it with a good old good note. So I'm going to write that down. So based upon these definitions, what is resonating with you all right now? Based upon these definitions, I'd love to know what is resonating with you all. Copy. What's resonating with you all as I prepare my good note? Oh, well, that's not what I wanted. Anybody? Paste. Cool. Oh, that's not what I meant. Okay. Perfect. So I'm writing down currently. I'm actually writing down right now so that we can make sure that we kind of have it, which is the definition of built from scratch. Okay. And we will write that down and then we'll bring up the good note on that. But that is a reflection point question that we should be looking at, right? Building A structure from scratch means that you use no prefabricated parts. Scratch is about beginnings. Beginnings. And so if we define this in such a way of an analogy of being in the kitchen, when we talk about, and I reference this in my email list, talking about, when I was younger, what did it mean for me to be a part of the cooking process for my very own grandmother that would make peach cobbler, apple pie, all sorts of really good stuff. And 9 times out of 10, she's like doing biscuits from scratch. So when I was at Biscuitville one time, shout out to the Biscuitville people, I was in there and I was looking to get a breakfast sandwich. And I was watching the woman. All she had was flour and some dough in the little Biscuitville area that she was in. And my friends, what was she doing? She was doing the same thing that my grandmother was doing. She was cooking from scratch. Go back to that definition, folks. The definition I'm writing. You do it without making any use that hasn't been done before. To create something from scratch means you make it without any ingredients or materials prepared ahead of time. So she did not go out to the grocery store to get the little Pillsbury muffin, Pillsbury roll things and put them in the oven. She said, not I, not I. I will not. That's not the Biscuitville way. This is what I'm presuming that she's saying. Not I, not I. Right? So here's what we know about building from scratch. There's really no preparation ahead of time. Okay? Scratch is about beginnings. Rubbing two nickels together, right, folks? This is about, it hasn't been done before. Mm-hmm. Right? Come on, good notes. We're going to bring that up really quickly. So that is what we're covering in the first episode. That's the background of this theme, right? Started being able to put together this concept late last year, or not, well, late / halfway through 2023. Starting to put that together. Where this concept started to come to me. Building from scratch. Here we go. So you guys can see. And hopefully you can see a little bit on the Instagram as well. We'll see. Okay. So I think you all can see this. This is essentially what we're focusing on. There we go. Okay. No preparation ahead of time. It's all about the beginnings, and it hasn't been done before. So we wanted just to take note of that. As Kamish has said, I'm in the process of building Kamish's Corner LLC into a business step by step. See? And there you have it, a prime example of that, right? And so I believe Kamish would be someone that has probably seen a lot in his process from that aspect of what we talked about. Building from scratch, taking faith, time, and commitment. Belief in self, belief in the vision. And he started doing that brick by brick. That writing of his book was, that was a process in itself, right? This was winter, New Year, like January 2022. That is when I remember. Yeah, that's when I remember that we're starting to write, and here we are. Book came out last year. Had a whole, has a whole huge promo run. Whole thing in itself. Now, let's move through. Now that we kind of have that particular analogy there, we're going to move to another aspect of it, because again, tactically, we're going to be tackling what it means, and how to actually build some stuff step by step. And we're going to kind of get to that towards the end. But the middle piece of it, which I thought was a really great observation in time, because we're talking about the definition. So I kind of went through the Webster's dictionary, the Collins dictionary of it. And so I want to read from you all for us to actually look at it also from a different perspective as well. I'm going to show you what I've been learning when it has come to building from scratch from the biblical perspective. So we're going to go and look at this right here. We're actually going to go look, and in the first episode, we talk a little bit about Ezra and Nehemiah as we come through the different lenses of what this looks like, because what you're going to do is you're going to be able to see and follow the themes, especially through the interviews. You're going to be able to kind of be able to see this building from scratch in such a way. So, all right. So when we talk about greetings, Shakira, great to see you. So when we talk about this Ezra and Nehemiah, and we'll briefly kind of go over just Ezra 1:1. And so when we look at something that was being built from scratch or rebuilding or restoring, right? We look at, even in the first verse. So in the first verse, it says, in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, in order to fulfill the word of the Lord spoken by Jeremiah, the Lord moved the heart of Cyrus, king of Persia, to make a proclamation throughout his realm and put it in writing. So where are we here, folks? If we're going to travel back in time a little bit, we're going to travel back in time a little bit as to why this is happening. So one of the reasons why this is happening is you got to go back to Second Chronicles. I'm actually gonna, let me not butcher all of the verses here, but let me pull up these other set of notes I have here. Oh, hold on. It is right here. It is right here. Here we go. So how do we get to the building? So Reader's Digest version will be this. So following 70 years of Babylonian captivity, Cyrus, whose spirit was stirred up, who was stirred up by the Spirit, sent a proclamation throughout all of his kingdom and put it in writing to rebuild the house of the Lord in Jerusalem. He says, whoever wants to rebuild, come forth. Come on. He said, come on now. If you want to rebuild, come on. Cyrus had a policy of cooperating with local religions and encouraging them to return the exiles who had been banished. They've been banished for about 70 years. And so in this background piece, this is really also about restoration, right? This is also about restoration. Now, during this particular time, the people were very frightened. The people were coming back, and they had been gone. They were in horrible conditions, and they were in untilled cities and lands, and it was all destruction. It was basically pretty much a hot mess. Everything was a hot mess, right? And so what God did is he stirred the heart of a government king, and he says, now's the time, people. You're going to come back into the fold. And he raised up, raised up leaders to rebuild the wall, to rebuild everything. And so that is where this journey takes us inside Ezra and into Nehemiah. It takes you into 3 waves. Ezra, well, it's actually Zerubbabel, Ezra, and then Nehemiah. Okay? I mean, in this, I'm telling you, this particular work, 40,000 people returned. And why this is important for us to understand in context to what it means to build from scratch is literally, even in the biblical times, they were literally building from from scratch. They were rebuilding from nothing. They didn't have anything, right? And so you got to think through as you move through those chapters, you see some things about leadership. You see some things where people's faith were challenged. You see some things where, there was people that came in and put doubt into the vision and what was supposed to be. It also took a long time. Okay? It also took a long time. So there was also a 4-month journey, okay, where 40,000 people returned to Jerusalem, right? Could you imagine? 4 months. We often think about, because we live in these days and times where we think about driving places. There was no driving back in the biblical times. There was no driving. There was foot. People were walking everywhere for really, really long amounts of time, right? Really long amounts of time. People were just walking everywhere, right? And it is amazing if you think about it. If you actually really go and think about the times that people lived in, we were not in this day and age, we were not prepared for all of that, right? That's just my assessment. So I just want to paint this picture for you, because I think it's really important to understand. So I kind of did a little quick summary of chapter 2, 4-month journey. Okay. Ezra 3, altar is restored, temple work, restoration work. The timing, that was month 7. Okay. And the total time that it took to rebuild the altar and the temple work was 2 years. 2 years. So this is why we talk about building from scratch takes faith, time, and commitment. And so the question that we also should be asking ourselves, as we'll be asking throughout the series, not only the tactical questions, but we should be asking ourselves about our commitment to the process. That's what we should be asking ourselves. Okay. Love it. Love it. We could go into a huge deep dive, folks. We could go into a huge deep dive, which we have no problem doing. Okay. And so last but not least, as I look at my other note, last but not least, folks, here we go. Last but not least, when we talk about building from scratch, in those first 4 or 5 or so episodes, we get real tactical with the fundamentals of project management. We're going to be talking about why you need a budget. We're going to be talking about scope. Come on, somebody. Let me bring up another good note for that. Come on, somebody. We're talking about these practical examples. Practical PM strategies. Okay. Let's go. Practical PM strategies. Do we have this straight? Okay. Yeah, practical PM strategies, folks. Oh, no, that's not it. Okay. It'll be up in a minute. Okay. Our practical PM strategies include, what's going on, Sierra? Great to see you. Include your budget, your scope, your resources, right? That's what we mean. That's what we mean. Your stakeholders. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about budget. We're talking about scope. We're talking about timeline. We're talking about resources. What else did I say we're talking about? Oh, stakeholders. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about all these things. All of these things. So I think you will have a good opportunity to really start to think through brick by brick, piece by piece, right? You'll also be able to, you'll be learning a bit about also the 9-point PM strategy. We're going to be talking about that each week as well. So you can get a really good breakdown of the framework that I work with myself, with clients, with other people, when we're talking about the fundamentals of the building from scratch. So you see here, I'm putting budget, scope, timeline, resources, stakeholders. And even in the second half of the season, you will begin to see what people were doing in terms of building their businesses, the certain projects that they worked on. You're going to be really seeing that. Again, you'll also be seeing some of the aspects of the next gen digital PM, where we talk about that leadership piece, or that relational intelligence, that emotional intelligence as well. So we're going to be hitting on things on all fronts. What's going on, Karen? Good to see you, Karen. Good to see you. What you working on, Karen, these days? What are you working on? Yes. So that, my friends, is really the preview of what we're doing for the next couple of months. We'll be here. We'll be talking about this. I will be bringing up also, I want to talk to you all about this NASA article. I think this is really interesting. NASA has this IG report for the Office of Inspector General. And what we're seeing with NASA is that recently, and I want to say that this is in the past couple of months, they received some remarks from the Office of Inspector General about poor project management performance. So this was released back in November of last year. And it says that the annual NASA OIG report looks at issues confronting NASA. And they said that nothing has changed. NASA still accomplishes astonishing things, yet that it's challenged by the fact that NASA still cannot figure out what things cost or deliver them on time. Isn't that really interesting? You know, an agency that I think many of us, we've, seen a lot of different announcements between going to the moon and beyond, all of these things that have happened. Isn't it really interesting that that this particular report that they're writing people up on, people are, they're getting written up for poor project performance. So we're going to go into their particular, so there's 7 challenges that this report has identified. Returning humans to the moon, improving management of major programs and projects, sustaining a human presence in low Earth orbit, maturing information technology and security, improving oversight and management of contracts, grants, and cooperative agreements, attracting and retaining high-skilled, diverse workforce, addressing NASA's outdated infrastructure and facilities. So we're going to look at number 2, their challenge, which is improving management of major programs and projects. So why is this really important that we are bringing attention to this? Well, one of the things is because if NASA, one of, this large agency that has been given 4.2 billion cost per launch is being addressed in this way to say, you all don't know how to manage the work, nor do you know how to properly have a cost estimate or even deliver on time. So what do you think that means for us who don't have $4.2 billion budgets? That means that we too must remain accountable, and we too must understand the importance of how we can do this project work well. And so when we look at this piece right here, so they say that the agency's primary human exploration challenge is preparing for the Artemis 2, the first crew tested flight of the SLS Orion system. NASA must address a variety of challenges to safely fly the 4 astronauts to the lunar orbit on their planned 10-day mission. While considered a near-perfect flight by NASA officials, Artemis 1 revealed technical issues such as protective material on the Orion heat shield eroded in an unexpected way. Okay, so right here, they're saying that there are some technical malfunction issues. Looking ahead, fast forward, looking ahead to Artemis 3, NASA officials were concerned that the technical difficulties associated with SpaceX Starship will delay its mission currently scheduled for December 2025 to sometime in 2026. Okay, let me get some stats for you all. The Artemis 2 crew of 3 American astronauts and 1 Canadian astronaut will be the first humans in over 50 years to be more than 400 miles beyond Earth since the Apollo 17 crew in 1972. So, my friends, this is a huge deal. In 50 years, they're doing this big launch, and we got problems, okay? The flight for the Artemis 2 crew will take them more than 230,000 miles from Earth, with a reentry into the Earth's atmosphere at nearly 25,000 miles per hour, which sounds, I think that's fast. This is what I know. This is what I'm thinking. As of September 2023, 29 countries have signed the Artemis Accords, which, among other things, establish principles for cooperation in outer space for peaceful purposes. So I also want you to know, too, that this is an important point about managing your stakeholders and getting buy-in. I don't think that it would be wise for NASA to just be doing all these missions and things all willy-nilly without having buy-in. So why do you need buy-in? I think you need support from a few different ways. Well, it shows unity. We all love a good unity. And also, too, it also means that there also will be other contributors, hello dollars, to whatever type of missions are needed, right? Because there's all sorts of materials. I'm not going to pretend I know the astronaut world at all, or the space world. So let me tell y'all what's going on. Okay, here we go. While the first, it says right here, and in June 2022, we reported that the ML2 project is significantly behind schedule and over budget. Hold on, folks, jeopardizing the launch of the schedules for Artemis 5 and beyond, or no, 4 and beyond, I think, 4 and beyond. While the first steel components were delivered to Kennedy in May 2023, we estimate the completion of the launch will not occur until late 2026 at the earliest, 2.5 years behind the project's originally scheduled date. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it and break this down. What we're saying here right now is that June 2022, not June 2023, which will be coming up like 1 year, right? That's like what, June 20. Okay, how many months is that? June 2022 to present. How many months is that? That was 1 year, 8 months, and 6 days ago, which is approximately 616 days ago, which is a lot of days, people. 616 days ago, people, that it was reported that they were behind schedule, which means even before that, they were behind schedule. So they're saying at this particular point, and listen, they are behind schedule and over budget. So look at this. Given the 4.2 billion cost per launch for at least the first 4 Artemis missions, it is critical that the agency identify and implement effective ways to reduce costs to enable fiscal sustainability for its flagship human exploration effort. Okay. 4.2 billion per launch, which is meaning, great to see you, Karen, too, as well. Okay, I'm so glad this is timely for you. So let me see if I can get the math right here. It's 4.2 billion per launch for at least the first 4 missions. I feel like, okay, we gotta sketch this out a little bit, folks, because this is kind of taking me out a little bit. This is kind of taking me out a little bit. I don't know about y'all, but this is not what I expected. This is not what I expected. And I want to put this here. Let me put this right here. Uh-oh. Because we gotta make it. I think we gotta make some of this make sense. Is that right? I think we do. So the facts are this. June 2022, it was reported that it was late on delivery and then also over budget. It takes 4.2 billion per launch, and there are 4 of these missions. I'm just making sure I'm just trying to make sure I have it straight. I'm just making sure I have it straight. Okay, so this will essentially be especially important as Congress urges NASA to increase the Orion launch cadence at the same time the NASA. So listen, they're getting pressure from the government. This is why this whole aspect of some key factors. This is why the stakeholders are like so important. So we got 29 countries in support. And then we have the pressure of Congress. We have the pressure of Congress because Congress holds the money. Congress holds money. So as you're thinking about your built from scratch opportunity, whether you're the business owner, whether you are someone that is leading out initiatives for the CEO, you want to think through who's all involved. So whether that is a product or a service, and that may be your audience, that may be some investors, you want to think through people. Who are you accountable to? Who's trying to see all of this come to fruition? How it says, for example, we reported that the production contract, NASA is projecting manufacturing cost savings of 30% per engine. However, these projected savings do not capture their overhead costs, which are at 2.3 billion. Okay, I think that's important. We got 2.3 billion in overhead costs. I think we have lots of problems. They said, and I love this page, it's entitled "Why This Is a Problem." Why this is a challenge, they're saying. I think it's a challenge for a few different reasons. Okay. So they're saying a more recent challenge for NASA's management of its major programs and projects is to shift to stimulate new commercial space economies by procuring missions as a service. While moving to a service based procurement approach could result in significant cost savings, development of these projects under the commercial approach has consistently cost more and taken longer than planned. So I think this is a very important thing to note as well, people. Every single type of project requires a different strategy. More often than not, you're going to require a different strategy. So what they're saying is that because the commercial way that NASA has been running its missions, they're like, let's go for a different approach that's going to be more cost effective. But when you've been doing a thing for a while, it's hard to kind of to reroute and to go into a different um, type of approach. Okay, so they're saying that. Okay, NASA contracted with 14 U.S. companies at the cost of up to 2.6 billion through 2028 to support the goal of enable rapid, frequent, and affordable access to the lunar surface and helping to establish a viable market for commercial lunar landing services. Deliveries to the moon were to begin as soon as September 2020. However, of the 10 fixed price task orders, this is very PME, people. So stay with me. This is very PM type of world we're living in right here. What's going on? Kelly L. What's going on? Wusa 513. Justin, it's great to see you all. When we are talking about, folks, the fixed price orders, okay? It said that they issued that through June 2023. That's like 8 months ago or so. Not one company had met the contracted schedule or delivered their payload to the moon, despite the agency paying many of the contractors more than the initial fixed price agreement. This is due to, dun 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 dun, people, poorly defined requirements and limited insight into contractor activities and their financial position. Ladies and gentlemen, people who are out here in the stratosphere understanding what is going on, I need you all to understand this. It does not matter if you're NASA or if you're a solopreneur, a team of 3, a team of 5, Apple or Barnes and Noble. My friends, you cannot escape poor requirements. You cannot escape poorly defined requirements. Why? Because you'll end up like NASA, where you're spending a whole bunch of money, where things are taking 3 and 4 years long to do and to complete. Wow. This is kind of taking me out, folks. Among the project management challenges facing NASA are procurement and contracting options. So the top factors, and like I said, I'm just writing this down. The top issues that we're really seeing, and we're just breaking that down anymore because we know that they have spent a lot of money and then they're also delayed in delivering. So we know that, but really from it, there's really a strategy issue, a strategy and approach issue. That's number one. Going from the commercial to the service based. Commercial, commercial to service based. Okay. And the second is procurement and contracting options. That'll always get you too. Procurement and contracting. What does that mean, people? Procurement and contracting options. That means that they have not properly set up a process in such a way where they can bring the actual procurement of contractors and services through a process that's streamlined, through a process that's effective, cost effective, and also time effective as well. That's what we're saying. That is exactly what we're saying. So, for example, let's see. I want to jump into this. For example, the Psyche mission, a spacecraft intended to travel to a metal-rich asteroid orbiting the sun between Mars and Jupiter, was delayed a year apart. Oh, excuse me, was delayed a year in part due to staffing shortages in critical positions and did not launch until October 2023 after NASA added about 132 million to its development cost. Sykes problems and secondary effects of delaying the Venus emissivity, radio science, blah, 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 mission for at least 3 years, and the Janus spacecraft being put in long-term storage pending identification and funding an alternative mission and launch opportunity. And there you have it. So, my friends, this is where we will stop. This is where we will stop. We're almost at the top of the hour, but we will be gathering some interesting projects that are in the news, right? Either through reports, either through some current events or some things. But I'll be pulling together some of the latest and greatest projects that are available that is out there, and we'll be walking through. We'll be pulling out these themes, these tactical themes, these strategic themes when it comes from building from scratch. So I hope you guys had a great time tonight. Share this live stream. This is going to be an amazing adventure. And we'll have lots of opportunity to also know how you can work with me on one-on-one on how we can actually build from scratch together. Wouldn't that be so much fun? And so for those that want to jump on a call with me, want to talk about potential ways that we can do some coaching, some consulting together, grabbing a session, all those types of things, please, in the link in the bio, book your call so that we can talk, we can chat, and everything. Definitely send me a direct message because I want to know what you're thinking when it comes from building from scratch. I'll be back. You'll be seeing me. You'll be seeing the announcement about the podcast very soon. And I'm very excited again. This is Built from Scratch, session 1. And I look forward to talking to you all soon. Bye.